Hello, happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Rankings Show. I'm Zach Bruner. Trevor Lands on the right, and Luke Reimer in the middle is joining us once again on camera, not just in the chat talking shit on.
Right.
I don't even know who he was talking shit on last week.
Talking shit about UW Platteville. That's what I was talking shit about.
And then what did they do that weekend? They kneeled instead of spiking the ball.
Yep.
So fair.
Like at the end of the game?
Yeah, they're down one.
Yeah, you didn't see
one
that
at
video? They're
lacrosse.
down one at home against lacrosse at the lacrosse 20, and the quarterback kneeled it instead of spiking it with 5 seconds left. That's who Dan Arnold had to play with, man. That tells you how good he really is.
Well, man. Okay, now he plays for Urban Meyer, so I don't think it's much better. But
should we go over the guarantees from last week and then do our guarantees at the end, just so we don't forget?
Do it up. I don't even remember what I did.
I'm 0.
Luke said Cobb. No, you're 0-7 because you made 2 picks for week 5.
Oh, yeah.
Luke said Cobb would have 2 touchdowns. That was wrong.
Didn't have a catch.
Did he even play 2 snaps?
Didn't have a catch.
I said Dan Arnold would have a touchdown. He had 2 catches, no touchdowns. And Zach said Gesicki not a top 12 tight end, and he was tight end 2.
It's a good thing we're getting close.
So the good thing is I am steady on top of the throne.
At what, 1-5?
I have 2 right. I had 2 in a row, 2.5 in a row going into that Dan Arnold touchdown. Tough break.
I mean, to be fair with Dan Arnold, he got hit in the head, and then he was on the sideline. Like we were heavy on him last week. He also had a drop, and then there was a pass interference, so he could have had a much better day. Whatever. Like I'm gonna die on the Dan Arnold take. I think he's a good tight end still. But yeah, I planned out my guarantee this week, and for some reason, I think I'm making it harder on myself. I'm doing a parlay. So it's multiple picks in one.
You have none right to this point. Why are you making a parlay?
Because it's automatic. It's a touchdown parlay. I know what I'm doing with those. It's going to be
because he's due.
I'm due too. I'm not going to be making. It's just touchdowns. Like I don't need to be going like top 12 when I don't know who's playing because clearly nobody else was playing for Miami. It was only Mckissick, and that's the only person who caught a pass. Let's talk about quarterbacks. Let's just jump into the rankings here. So we're going to be going over the rankings. It's also in the description if you're on YouTube. And we'll be comparing these rankings to the expert consensus, see where we are higher or lower. Quarterbacks here starting off, though, at Patrick Mahomes at Tennessee at number 1. Lamar Jackson 2 versus the Bengals. Kyler Murray 3 versus the Texans. Matthew Stafford 4 versus the Detroit Lions. Game of the week, in my opinion. And then number 5, Tom Brady versus the Bears. Luke, what do you think of those 5 quarterbacks?
Rams, Lions, it's a double revenge game for both quarterbacks, by the way. But you have Tom Brady at 5 here. Yeah. You have Tom Brady at 5 here. They ran the ball, well last week. Do you think Chicago's obviously, a tougher team to run against. They've always had good linebackers, good defense. Do you think that they kind of shy away from the running a little bit, or why do you have Tom Brady so high?
I don't think they'll shy away. I just think it's easier, like you said, to pass against the Bears. The Bears' secondary is trash. And I think he may get Rob Gronkowski back this week, which is always better near the goal line. They're not just going to hand it off to Fournette every time. So it seems like a 3+ touchdown day for Brady again.
Fair.
For me, I like the top 4. I think I'd put Hurts over Brady. Last game, the play calling was horrible. He was not good. And he still scored 25 points because when they are near the goal line, no matter how good Sanders or Gainwell are, they'll just run it with him. He seems like an automatic 20 no matter what. He's playing Las Vegas now. I don't think either team has a great defense. This should be a much easier defense for him to go against. Jalen Hurts is just my guy in fantasy. There's no other way to put it. I mean, he's not a good quarterback overall, but fantasy, he is automatic.
Does it change your mind if I say he has almost, or no, he does break it. He has over 300 yards combined the past 2 weeks, which is good. Last week he passed for 115 yards. Not bad. Against Tampa's 5th or 6th best cornerback as their quarterback one. He ran the ball well, but he only finished as quarterback 5 in an amazing game. So I just
115 passing yards. That's Brock Osweiler numbers.
It's pretty good. It's not bad. The Eagles are so bad.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been so much easier. I mean, you saw their offense too. I think I'm putting too much stock into Sirianni because you saw when they ran the ball, not only the first time did they get a standing ovation. Guess what? Your offense works better when you're not just passing all the time and when you run the ball with good running backs. I think he does the same thing against Vegas, but I mean, it's Sirianni, so I can't count on that. But I'm going to count on him because I need him for fantasy in the week of buys. So
they've been talking up Sanders all week, saying they need to get him more involved, which that's obvious. So it doesn't mean anything. It's just an obvious statement. So we'll see if they do it. But I think I'm pretty high on Sanders. We'll get to him in a second. But yeah, I like him quite a bit. Obviously, 6 teams on bye this week, so a lot of quarterbacks are cut out.
A lot of good teams on bye.
A lot of good teams. Like, for that reason, I have Matt Ryan and Ryan Tannehill as top 10 quarterbacks. I have them at 9 and 10. And I have Tua at 11, Sam Darnold at 12, and Jameis Winston at 13. Like, it sounds disgusting to say, but I think that's where I'm at. Looking at the other quarterback, there's also a lot of bad matchups across the league. Like, this week sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Any other quarterback you want to talk about before we compare them to everybody else?
I just wanted to bring up Jameis Winston. You mentioned him there a little bit there. I know I have Josh Allen in the league, and I'm sitting him for Jameis Winston. Seattle's defense doesn't scare me at all. I don't think it's terrible to have Jameis Winston starting if you had someone like, obviously, Josh Allen, who's now on bye. But, Kamara's always a factor, whatever. I think Jameis Winston does play well against Seattle Monday night, and it's Monday night, so, at least one quarterback's going to play well, and I'm going to take Jameis Winston over Geno Smith 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers gives me something interesting at 7 because this Washington defense is very bad, but at the same time, I can see this being a game where the Packers get to a big lead and then hang on to the run game and just kind of go a little more off the gas. So that's also concerning if he doesn't get a ton of touchdowns or stuff early. So he provides a real interesting, not boom or bust, but kind of. He'll give you a safe floor, but he could score, 30. He could score like 16. And it wouldn't mean he doesn't play well. It's just a game script.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. He has less than 30 pass attempts in 3 of his 6 games this year. It's rough, and to your point, it should be a game that the Packers control throughout the entire time. And we know the Packers like to get out to a nice early lead, do things well, and then completely abandon what they did and play not to lose, which I assume is what happens. Which, especially in a week looking ahead, they have a quick turnaround. In week 8, they play on Thursday against the Cardinals. So I think they're just going to try to run out the clock quickly and try to escape and get
without
the next
injuries.
Thursday. Yeah, especially this team.
Yeah.
Looking at the expert consensus here, I have Jameis Winston at 13, which is 3 spots higher than the consensus. I have Carson Wentz at 15, also 3 spots higher. He's been really good. I think people are sleeping on him. I have Teddy Bridgewater on Thursday night against the Browns at 16, and that's 3 spots higher than the consensus. People are sleeping on him as well, especially against a bad Browns team.
Just to before you continue, I'm sorry, just to talk about Teddy Bridgewater. Like you said, I think a lot of people are doubting him right now. The dude doesn't turn the ball over. And just like you said, against Cleveland, whose secondary is, pretty shitty, I think this is a great, play again, like if Josh Allen's on a bye or something like that. I think you'll get 15 points out of Teddy this week, just enough to, if you've solid other players, you'll get enough out of Teddy.
Well, I think he's good too, no matter what Keenum does. Like if Keenum turns into prime Minnesota Viking, he's got to put up points, so he's going to keep passing. If he doesn't, they're going to need those passes to move the sticks because they can't just run it 3 times in a row. And like you said, he doesn't make mistakes. He's like a poor man's Tyrod Taylor. So just because of that, I already love him.
Yeah, he's finished as a top 16 quarterback in 4 of his 6 weeks, and one of those weeks that he didn't, he got knocked out hurt. So to rank him 16th in a week where there's 6 quarterbacks on bye, I don't think is bold at all. And then players I'm lower on, I have Joe Burrow at 14, that's 5 lower. Daniel Jones at 17, that's 3 lower. Taylor Heineke at 20, that's 3 lower. And then Justin Fields at 22, which somehow is 15 lower. Or not 15 lower, 7 lower. Consensus
I was
has
going
him at
to say,
15.
if he was at 7, that would be...
It's how much lower than that? They have him at 15, which is kind of wild. Which means they have him ahead of Teddy, ahead of Wentz. Kind of right where Jameis Winston is, basically. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. Any other quarterback before we move on to running back?
I think, real quick, I think Heineke's a really ballsy play if you're going for somebody. Like, I think he's a guy where if you're down a lot, you go with him. Or if you're probably going to lose, you go with him. Because I think he's a real good boomer bust option. I can see the Packers blitzing the piss out of him and getting to him early, and this defense just swallows them whole. Or I can see him just slinging it down the field to McLaurin all game long. I don't see a very good middle ground for him.
His offensive line's bad, and he may not even be on the team. So maybe this conversation is irrelevant. He may be traded by Sunday, which is fun. I hope so.
Who would they start?
Kyle Allen, I think.
Oh, please. I will be at the game. I want to see that.
I think he might be better than Heineke. So we'll see. Okay, going on to running backs. I have Derrick Henry, number 1 versus the Chiefs. Alvin Kamara, 2 at the Seahawks. Jonathan Taylor, 3 at the 49ers. Then it gets a little bit more difficult. I have Darrell Henderson at 4 versus the Lions and Aaron Jones at 5 versus Washington. Trevor, what do you think of those 5 running backs?
I think it's gotten to a point where we can't have Derrick Henry anywhere other than 1 for the rest of the season until we see otherwise. I didn't think he'd be stuffed by the Bills, but I thought he'd have like a game, probably like 75, 80 yards, maybe a score. And dude just went off. Like, he was insane. The lowest point total outside of week 1 is 18.5 PPR. Dude's just an absolute monster. Now he's playing Kansas City. I mean, this defense is already bad enough. He might actually run for 200 yards in this game. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Going to my guarantees, of course, the one guarantee I gave about Derrick Henry, he didn't hit it, but all the other weeks he did. But Jonathan Taylor's really interested in me. I like this Indianapolis-San Francisco game Sunday night. This seems like a big run-heavy game to me because that seems like what both teams are great at. So the only thing I wonder with Jonathan Taylor is how much time is Nahim Heinz getting and how much time is Marlon Mack getting.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the Colts have sort of abandoned Heinz. He's just not getting any run. And I guess as a whole, they're playing better, but I still think that's to their detriment. However, if you're a Jonathan Taylor owner, who cares, I guess. Good for you. Moving down, I have Cordaro Patterson at 10 against his half PPR, Chuba Hubbard at 11. Miles Sanders at 16. I have faith in him. I currently have Gibson at 17. I think there's a real chance that Antonio Gibson does not play this week. I currently have McKissick at 21. If Gibson does not play, I'd probably just switch him. I think I'd probably put McKissick at 17. It'll be tough for me to go much higher than that. But he's going to soak up all the targets. And if Antonio Gibson's out, though, Jarrett Patterson, pick his ass up. The dude's a fucking stud out of Buffalo. He's so good. He may run for 100 yards if Gibson's out. And that's not a joke. He's very good at football.
I could see McKissick collecting a lot of points and passes. Obviously, that's what he made his name in the league. And I think I said it on Lombardi Sweep. Tune in for that after the show. But I think the way to beat the Packers defense is to get the ball out quick to your running back.
Absolutely. It's open every time.
Yeah.
How close is it to McKissick not playing? I saw about, obviously, Gibson, but I didn't see much about McKissick.
I think he's fine. I'm not too worried. I think he's good to go.
Okay. Yeah,
He's
McKissick's a stud. Everybody's been talking about Dearness Johnson, whatever. he's kind of irrelevant. Everybody's talking about him. I think McKissick was the biggest pickup on the waivers this week, and I don't think it was really close, especially if Gibson's out, because Washington's going to be playing from behind, and so McKissick's going to be used anyways. And even if they have a lead, Gibson's not healthy enough. So even if he did play, it would be McKissick too.
You guys remember? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Zach.
It's not important. I promise you. I was going to make a stupid joke.
I was going to say, you remember Darius Geis? I thought that he was going to be the guy there, and I still think he's going to be the guy somewhere.
Same. I thought Samaje Perine was. I think there's an article on Flurry Sports about it. And then he got hurt literally the next day.
He's going to be the guy in the longest yard. That's going to be where he contributes.
Right.
But Zach, I want to hear your bad joke now, though, before we answer this question.
I was just going to say Antonio Gibson has a hurt shin, so that's where Dean Lowry's going to target, because Dean Lowry's a fucking animal, and he's going to come at him. He cannot be stopped right now.
I regret saying that. So the question is, should I trade Gibson for James Robinson? I think, yeah, for sure.
4, yes.
Yes.
James Robinson, as Urban Meyer has now found out, is very good at football, and they should give him the football every play.
Crazy.
You talked about Dearness Johnson. I have him at 25 right now. I'll compare the consensus in a little bit. I'm sure I'm lower. I like him a lot. He's a really good player. An AAF alumni. That was the league before XFL, right?
Yep.
Stud. Played for Orlando. Very good. But other people like Demetric Felton, who is not a running back. He is lined up in the backfield 2 times the entire year. He's a slot wide receiver, and he will be irrelevant if Jarvis Landry plays. If Jarvis Landry doesn't play, which there's a very real chance he doesn't, then he'll be a wide receiver, and he should get 3-4 targets. Like he's fine. He's just not a running back.
I talked Jeff Felton, so even though I did not know that because I just saw he had receptions in game that Hunt and Chubb played, I have to go out on my own sword. Play Felton. I think he's amazing. Who's Dearness Johnson? All I know is Demetric Felton. But yeah, Dearness Johnson, he was pretty solid last year, I think, too, when Chubb was out, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He's a good player. I happen to be higher on Felton because I thought he was a running back. I'm not going to lie to you. I can't watch Browns games. I don't get them. And the Browns aren't worth it anyways. But yeah, I mean, if Felton is not in the backfield, then that's a clear cut, clear cut money move.
Yeah, I mean, Felton played running back in college a little bit, but I think it was for UCLA. So UCLA did. LA doesn't count.
Chip Kelly, baby.
In the Pac-12. Yeah, congratulations. Under Chip Kelly. Good job. Comparing to the consensus, I have Miles Sanders at 16, which is 4 higher. McKissick, 21, 4 higher. Devontae Freeman, I have at 29, which is 4 higher. We saw Latavius Murray exit last week. I'm not for sure if he's going to play. And what I will say about these rankings for Ravens running backs, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, full transparency, if Latavius Murray doesn't play, I would assume Tyson Williams is active. And if you tell me Tyson Williams gets 20 carries, that's sure. Like, that's possible. Le'Veon Bell, I think, had 8 last week. If he got 20, I'd say that's possible. Like, I'm just fully staying away from them all. If I had to choose, if Latavius Murray is active, I'd pick him. If he's not active and Tyson Williams is, I would pick him. Just because I think those two are the red zone running backs, and I'm just looking for a touchdown.
Yeah, I think they're downhill running backs too. Kind of smash up the middle rather than Devontae Freeman and Le'Veon Bell and Lamar Jackson like to get to the edge.
Mm-hmm.
If I may, where do you have Tony Pollard? I might have missed him, but what are... Oh, bye. Duh.
Yep.
Damn it. I don't pay attention to the Cowboys. Nobody does. But, I mean, I'm seeing people in multiple leagues actually drop him. Is that a guy that if you see drop, it's don't even question it? Or is that a guy you look at even with his work as a handcuff?
I wouldn't pick him up if I feel like I may need to start somebody. I just don't really trust him. But if you feel good about your starters and you can just sit on them, If you're picking him up as like your fourth running back, I would love it because obviously, like you said, handcuff, he's possibly the most valuable handcuff in the entire league.
Mm-hmm.
He's very good at football. And if he's the starting running back, he's going to be a top 10 guy. I have Malcolm Brown at 41, which is 8 spots higher. I'm just fully off Myles Gaskin. I'm done with it. And Malcolm Brown's going to be the red zone guy. So, again, just chasing touchdowns. Kyle Juszczyk, I'm 6 higher, whatever. Going lower, I have Devontae Booker at 23. That's 4 lower. I have Myles Gaskin at 32, which is 5 lower. I don't know why anybody would rank Myles Gaskin at 27, but good for you. I don't really get it. I have Nahim Heinz at 39, which is 5 spots lower as well. Let me just look at where he's finished lately because it's low. Last 3 weeks, he's been running back 84, 66, and 48. He has target totals of 2, 1, and 2, carry totals of 2, 4, and 4. Like I said before, I don't get it, but he's not a part of the game plan right now. And I think that's a mistake, but you can't be starting him as a flex at all. Other people, Felton, I'm 7 spots lower on, so there are people who agree with you, Trevor.
Yay. I'm not alone with idiots.
I'll go, if Landry's ruled out, I'll come up on him from 47. But, he's definitely more valuable in PPR leagues. That's about it. Is there any other running backs you want to talk about?
I actually totally missed. We have a question in the chat. I apologize for that. Thoughts on Amari Cooper and Darrell Williams for Jamar Chase and Damian Harris? Personally, I'd take Chase and Harris, but that's just me.
It depends on if you need a win. No, it doesn't. Yeah, I'd take Chase and Harris as well. Darrell Williams definitely has a short shelf life.
I'm with you on that. I said, what more is Darrell Williams going to do when – where's he at? He's at the Chiefs, right?
Yep.
What's he going to do when Clyde comes back,
Right. Or if they trade for Marlon Mack or trade for another running back,
Right.
Yeah.
I had a quick question about the New England backfield because due to buys and stuff, I'm starting both Damian Harrison and Ramad Stevenson this week.
Harris is still the clear red zone guy. I think he got all 4 red zone carries last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think Stevenson is a good player, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really want any part of him. I think I have him ranked higher than I'm comfortable with. I'll say that much. I am at 35. I think that's dumb. I'm going to move him down. I understand game script wise. I don't think the Patriots will need to pass a ton. However, I think Belichick will feel bad for leaving Bolton out of the game plan last week, and I think he will probably get a lot of work.
So, if you're in the position that I'm in right now, would you rather have Brandon Bolden or Stevenson starting?
Stevenson, but I mean, I would rather like Jeremy McNichols. I'm pretty close to with Stevenson. I think I'd go him. Malcolm Brown, I'd rather go. Like, there's other people, I think.
Yeah. And then I had one more thing to bring up because I haven't been on the show the last 2 weeks with Saquon hurt. I don't understand why everyone's so high in Devontae Booker because if Saquon isn't, producing much in this Giants offense, why would Devontae Booker?
That's exactly what we said last week.
There.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's literally exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah. You are correct. I don't know anything else to say.
I've been sitting on that question for 2 weeks now. I needed to get it off my chest.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay. Going on to wide receivers, I have Devontae Adams, number 1, Cooper Kupp, number 2, Tyreek Hill, number 3, and then DeAndre Hopkins versus the Texans at number 4. I have a feeling he may be a little bit motivated there. And then number 5, I have DJ Moore versus the Giants. Luke, what do you think of those 5?
Love DeAndre Hopkins this week. Motivation, he got traded. It seems like he didn't want to get traded, and he got traded for David Johnson. So that can't make, DeAndre Hopkins is a guy who plays with the chip on his shoulder. That can't make him feel any special or anything like that. So I would even move DeAndre Hopkins up to, maybe top 2. I mean, this has to be the DeAndre Hopkins week in my eyes, and I think Arizona just comes out and beats the shit out of Houston this week, and I imagine DeAndre Hopkins accounts for a lot of that.
Yeah, I think Hopkins is a good play. I don't think he's going to be top 2 just because all the options they have there. I think they're definitely going to feed him. They're going to feed into that revenge game, but I think eventually they're going to get up so much it's going to be like, all right, they're already dead. But for me, coming off a poor week, actually 2 poor weeks, I love DJ Moore at 5. I think more people need to be high on him. He only has 10 catches the last 2 weeks, but he has 20 targets. Like, dude is getting the ball. He's basically getting force-fed. The only question is whether or not Darnold can make the throw. And say what you will about him making the throw, but I feel very confident in the next 2 weeks at least. This week against the Giants, next week against Atlanta. I think everybody's panicking on him just because nobody expected him to be this good. Don't throw him away. Like, the targets are there, the receptions are going to get there.
Yeah, it comes down to if the opposing team can get pressure on Darnold, and Minnesota is very good at it, one of the best in the league. We saw Darnold struggle. Giants are okay at it, but I'm not too scared.
And Robbie Anderson is just not getting targets anymore.
Oh, he got a ton of targets last week. He just dropped every one of them.
Yeah.
How many targets did he get? He caught the touchdown at the end and saved my DFS lineup. He had 11 targets last week.
Okay.
And he caught 3. So that's a buy low guy for sure. Past 3 weeks, he's gotten 29 targets.
Anderson?
And he's been very good. He's been open. He's been there. Either Darnold's missed him or he's dropped it when Darnold's actually put it on the money. Last week was a terrible game for Anderson. He was open all day long. And he just dropped everyone except for the touchdown at the end.
Right. That's the thing, too, about, like Robbie Anderson with drops. Just like you mentioned, there are 11 targets. It's the same thing that I did with Marquis Brown. Just stick with them because it's obvious that they're going to him. So, if someone offers you something bad for him, don't get rid of him, just get rid of him because they're going to him for a reason.
Yeah. People are starting to realize that they need to guard Marquis Brown, so I don't think you can trust the super hot start. But he also played the Chargers last week. Chargers secondary is good.
Yeah.
This week he plays the Bengals. Bengals secondary is okay by a week, but then he gets Minnesota, the Dolphins, the Bears, the Browns. So he's going to be fine. Let's see. Out of the Buccaneers 3, I have Evans at 10, Brown at 11, Godwin at 13. I just feel weird putting one of them really low, but if I had to, I kind of want to move Chris Godwin down out of the top 20. I just don't think he's that involved. He just doesn't have a good enough role for me. There's nothing that he does that, that Antonio Brown doesn't do better, but then just, I don't know. He's just not a difference maker. And the other 2 are.
I was going to
Mike Evans, I don't think is very good at football, but at least he's big.
I was going to say, too, Antonio Brown kind of took over that Chris Godwin spot that we saw 2 years ago when they had Jameis Winston there.
Yeah, or the tight ends. Like, they like going double tight end, or Leonard Fournette somehow can catch. I still don't really believe that he's a receiving running back, but Bruce Arians believes so. I don't know.
They have so many weapons on that offense.
Stupid.
And they still
salary cap doesn't exist.
Right.
True. All-time Brady.
Shut out Cowboys. Talking to you.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with the Dolphins pass catchers. They've been all banged up. I have Jalen Waddle at 21, though. He's been impressing. Tua looked at him a lot last week. Again, they only had him and Mckissick, and, they play the Jaguars. But he plays Atlanta this week, so it's not like it's much better. Tim Patrick at 25. I have him above Julio Jones. I think that's noteworthy. Anybody else to talk about, really, until I compare?
I was going to say it's going to be pretty funny this week when Odell Beckham goes for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns without Baker Mayfield.
And like legit, like if you play DFS single game, make sure you play Odell.
Yeah,
for sure. Case Keenum revenge game on top of it, which is massive.
It feels like Case Keenum could play anyone and it'd be a revenge game.
Pretty much, yeah. He's just always pissed off. He's always ready to go. I have Tim Patrick at 25 in that game, and that's 4 spots higher. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown at 39. That's 6 higher. Jameson Crowder at 44. That's 4 higher. I want to talk about him a little bit. He's been getting a lot of red zone targets, and he's just kind of brought back that role that he played last year. He's played 2 games, 9 targets, 6 targets last week. He has a touchdown in the first one. He's going to be a go-to target underneath for Zach Wilson. He's clearly the best route runner on the whole team. Zach Wilson's looking for the open guy, and it's always going to be Crowder. Playing New England this week, they're going to take away Corey Davis probably down the field. Jameson Crowder is going to be open. He may have 10 catches for 30 yards, but soak up those PPR points.
I'm almost wondering if the Jets have seemed to try to get Michael Carter going a little bit lately. I'm almost wondering if Carter and Crowder kind of play off each other a little bit. You know, the little running up the middle compared to drag route, stuff like that. So as a Michael Carter owner, I like seeing Jameson Crowder back.
He's good. Like, Jets need to trade him away and get something because he's really good. Yeah, this week sucks for wide receivers. I don't know. I have Kenny Stills at 70, which is 18 spots higher. He's back with New Orleans in case anybody cared. I think he's interesting against Seattle on Monday night. It just seems like a spot where he's going to go off. Lower, I have Tyler Lockett at 30, which is 8 spots lower. Again, if you're starting Tyler Lockett, who's catching from Geno Smith in nearly the top 20, I think you don't know anything about football. Allen Robinson, I have at 31, which is 5 lower. Why is anybody ranking Allen Robinson in the top 30? I reluctantly jumped off ship, and everyone else needs to as well. Mecole Hardman, I have at 42. People have him at 35. And I think that's really bold. Rondale Moore, I have at 45. That's 8 lower. Don't understand that. And it's all pretty much like those type of players.
I just wanted to pick a bone with Trevor here about Allen Robinson. Is that you could have given me anyone on your team in Pirate League, and you gave me Allen Robinson for Marquis Brown.
Well, I had other guys of like Jerry Jeudy. He could actually have value. Allen Robinson does not. And the thing was, like this week against the Packers, we all saw it. He was wide ass open.
Mm-hmm.
He could have streaked down the middle of the field. Nobody was looking at him. Fields just wasn't even looking at him. The effort isn't there. The effort's been back. Quarterback can't throw it or doesn't want to throw it to him. Darnell Mooney, I mean, we've kind of been talking about it. As weird as it is, he's the guy for the Bears receiving-wise in that receiving core. Doesn't make sense when you have a guy like Robinson, but at the same time, sucks to be Robinson because he could have been with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, and he chose not to. So I refuse to feel bad for him.
Yeah. Yeah, but he wants to go home to Detroit where he's from. So I think trade him to the Lions. Everybody needs that. Everybody involved. He would probably get 40 targets a game if he played for the Lions right now. Could you imagine?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need. Man. Any other wide receiver to talk about?
Henry Ruggs. What are you guys' thoughts on Henry Ruggs? He scored last week. You think he stays part of the offense?
Football.
Yeah, I agree.
But, I mean, to that point, I think he's... Who do they play again? Raiders play Philadelphia. I don't like it. Philadelphia is trying to keep people in front of them, so I think they're going to limit the big play. So I think that limits Henry Ruggs specifically.
Ruggs is one of those guys that consistently just lives to piss you off in fantasy. Like every week, if I see Henry Ruggs 50-plus yard catch for a touchdown, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And then if he also has 2 catches for 10 yards with 5 drops, I'm like, that also makes sense.
He's turning into Deshaun Jackson.
Don't you watch your mouth. He wishes he could be what Deshaun Jackson was in his prime. He wishes.
Deshaun Jackson now.
Okay,
That's what I mean.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
That's
Sorry.
fair. Okay.
I will say we kind of called the Raiders last week. I said Hunter Renfrow is going to take a step back and Kenyon Drake's going to take a step forward without the Gruden thing. And that Renfrow, let's see what he did. 3 catches for 36 yards, and Kenyon Drake scored 2 touchdowns. I don't think it's necessarily a fluke.
6 touches. That's the one
Didn't
thing that
anymore.
I'm a little wary about.
He had enough. He said, no more, thank you. Give Jacobs a few more touches. Okay, let's go to tight ends here.
Can we not?
Okay.
And say we did.
Let's do it. I need to get back on track this week.
But Dan Arnold wasn't here.
I know, thank God. I don't even know where I'd rank him this week.
1.
I have Travis Kelce, number 1, no surprise. Number 2 is, and that's Mark Andrews versus the Bengals. I have Darren Waller at 3 versus the Eagles. Kyle Pitts at 4 at the Dolphins. And then Noah Fant, 5 Thursday at the Browns. Trevor, what do you think of those 5 tight ends?
Is Mark Andrews good at football now? He said rhetorically, knowing he still sucks. Like Mark Andrews is
like a wide receiver.
Like Mark Andrews has just decided, hey, I can play football well again. And Lamar said, hey, maybe I should throw to this giant mass of a man over the middle of the field wide open. He's been really good lately. I think eventually it's going to slow down. But this week against Cincinnati, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Cincinnati has the bodies to block him or cover him.
Yeah, I think Mark Andrews is too integral to the passing offense for the Ravens, which is saying a lot. I'm just curious to see how he does with Rashad Bateman coming, who's kind of that big-bodied receiver who can kind of take over that middle of the field.
I agree with that. You would think down in the red zone, maybe they try to call play for Bateman that they had drawn up, since draft day or something. But in terms of middle of the field, I think Andrews is just going to continue to soak up every single target. Darren Waller, everyone's been penciling him as the tight end 2 every single week, just a no-brainer. Here's his finishes the entire year. He's been tight end 4, then 10, 16, 10, 19, 17. I don't know what that says, other than he's not tight end 2. Again, I have him at tight end 3, so I think he's still okay. But he's not like a no-brainer lock difference maker. And I think everyone who drafted him to be that's also a fool. However, I mean, what's Kelce done? He's been single digits. Never mind. Kelce's good.
I was gonna say too with Darren Waller. I know what people, I know what to say about him is that the people who drafted him in the second round are very pissed right now.
Good. The parents are too, because you're a disappointment. Like it's such a bad decision.
It is.
Like people really saw him week 1 with 19 targets and 10 receptions and said, "Yep, that's sustainable." I like his targets. Obviously, he's had 7 weeks 2 through 4, 8, and then 5 this past week. And for tight ends, like it's decent enough to start. But to your point, people are drafting him in the 3rd and 4th round. That's just not what he is anymore. And the sooner fantasy football, I feel like, is a thing where if you're wrong, the sooner you can admit it, the better. You start really digging yourself into a hole. So if I'm a Darren Waller, if I have him on my team, I think I might try to sell him, see if you can get anybody on the name recognition alone, because I mean, he's getting as many targets as Pitts now, and Pitts is on some waiver wires to be honest. So,
yeah, I think Waller's touchdown upside just isn't there. Once again, the red zone, they're just going to run the football. So Waller needs to break a big play to score usually, and defenses know they need to double him. So it's going to be really tough to score when there's a safety over top the entire game.
I don't think he's good enough to be able to work out of double teams.
I agree. TJ Hawkinson got back on track last week. He had 11 targets, caught 8 of them for 74 yards. Before 3 weeks prior to that, he was tight end 35, 20, and 35. He was definitely injured. I don't know if he necessarily looked healthy last week, but the workload is nice. He plays the Rams this week. I have my tight end 6. And that's not me saying I'm confident he's going to be a top 10 tight end. Just because, I don't know. I think the targets are going to be there. I'm not scared of the Rams defense. I just don't think he has any chance at a touchdown, basically. So,
yeah, the Lions need Hawkinson to be good to get a win eventually here. If someone turns out to be somewhat good, Jared Goff's going to throw the ball 800 times to him. So I think TJ Hawkinson, needs to continue to be looked at, not worried about dropping or trading or anything like that.
I've been hearing a lot of people this week say Stafford knows everything about the Lions. McVay knows everything about Jared Goff. Jared Goff knows everything about McVay, and Dan Campbell knows everything about winning football games. So maybe this is hey, stop. Maybe this is the week. Would it surprise you? Lions go 1-16, and the one win they got is over Matthew Stafford, just to do one more fuck you to Matthew Stafford. Seems right. So maybe this.
Let me look at their
like last month. This is the week, Trevor. No. This is the week. It's gonna happen. Maybe that's my guarantee. It's not.
No. Not. He would beat the Steelers. I think that is much more. Or no, I got it. I got the week that the Lions are gonna win. December 19th, they play the Cardinals at home. Tell me that is not storybook when the Cardinals fall off a cliff.
Nope.
They've done it before. I think they'll do it again there.
I mean, that might be like their 8th win at that point. We don't know. Once they get one, it's just momentum. Boom, boom, boom. One after the other.
Jared Goff's got the it factor. Once he wins the games, they'll start piling up after.
Dan Campbell is the it factor. Don't you mention Jared Goff's name in the same conversation as Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell's so good they named a soup after him.
Yep. Let's talk about so Dallas Goedert. I don't think he's been removed from the COVID list yet, technically, but I think he's going to play. I have him at 17. Zach Ertz was traded to the Cardinals. I've seen an absurd amount of people saying Zach Ertz gets traded to the Cardinals and he's a very clear top 10 tight end now because of the improving offense that he's on. And I think that's one of the dumbest takes I've ever heard. Because, do you think he's going to get targets over DeAndre Hopkins, over AJ Brown,
AJ Green,
wrong color? Yeah. I'd give AJ Brown targets over him too. But I mean, they got the Rondell Moore, they got rookie wide receivers, they got running backs. Zach Ertz isn't going to be a 10 target guy. I don't understand the thought. So I'm at 12, but that's mostly because of who he plays. Okay, comparing, I have Rob Gronkowski at 10. Again, I'm just assuming he plays. That's 20 spots higher. I have Ian Thomas at 23. That's 6 spots higher. I have Robert Tonyan at 24, and that's 8 spots lower. People still believe in Robert Tonyan.
Drop Tonyan.
Good for that. Bless their hearts. Whatever. It makes me look
Can
good.
Somebody in our Dynasty League please trade me a tight end? I have Tonyan and Jonnu Smith.
I got a bunch of them. I think I have Hunter Henry. Take him. I don't need him.
I'll give you... Actually, I don't have a fab budget. I'll give you $5 next year.
That will be $5.
Do I have your budget, Trevor?
Yeah, all 100.
Yeah.
I also have Njoku at 26, which is 5 spots lower. He had one game that was good, and people are going to rank him as a top 20 tight end for the next month, and I love it. Anybody else to talk? Oh, I will say, if Rob Gronkowski gets ruled out, it's not Cameron Brate. You need to play OJ Howard.
I got F'd on that in underdog last week.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a Brate week too.
Dude needed 24.5 yards. I think he ended up with 18.
Dumb. Okay, let's go to guarantees. I'll start. I have a touchdown parlay. However, I'm just going to say out of these. Should be. Why? Because it's going to make people money and get correct?
For everyone you get wrong, we're going to do this one-way street. For everyone you get wrong, you get 1 point wrong. For everyone you get right, it's just one total.
That makes no sense. I'm making it harder on myself.
Boomer bust. Boomer bust.
Well, I wrote down specifically, I have 5 players, and I said they're going to get 4+ touchdowns total. At least 4.
Oh, I thought you meant 5
players.
Yeah, that's not a...
It's a guarantee.
It's just... Oh, hey, Derrick Henry and Kamara and Cook and Jones will all combine for 1 or more touchdowns.
Wrong.
There we go.
Wrong.
That's what you're doing.
I have Damian Harris, Mike Davis, DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Derrick Henry.
Hold up, slow down. I gotta type this shit. Damian
So-
Harris, Mike Davis.
What Trevor is saying is you might as well just take every single player in the NFL and say,
Yeah.
I bet they combine for 1 touchdown this week. 1
Yeah.
plus.
I said 4.
And you listed like 7 players. Okay,
I was
who are
at
they again?
5.
Hey, be slower. I couldn't keep up. I'm trying to type. Damian Harris, Mark Davis. Mike Davis, who cares?
Mark Davis is
Mike
an owner.
Davis. Yeah, not.
Who cares? Who cares? Same person.
DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams. Derrick
Jesus,
Henry.
this is so dumb.
No, I like
Why?
it.
So it's a harder one than anything else we've done.
So you either get 1 or 0, right? Or you get 5 or 0.
You have to.
Why
get
would
them
we
all
doing 5
to
points?
get a point.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
if you
Also,
want to.
You
No,
can't tell
like,
me
it
it's the
doesn't-
hardest when week 1 I said MVS would have 100 yards and a touchdown.
Fine, because you know what another
No, I like
guarantee is that we've done? Mike Davis gets 1 touchdown. Do you want me to just do that? Because that's easier than what I said.
That didn't work for me.
It's easier than what I said. I'll do that, but I
No,
said
I like
100.
yours, Zach. I like it.
He just needs the points. It's okay. We'll let it fly. I'll go next
I
because I
want
already
1
have it
point.
typed.
I don't want 5 points. That's stupid. I do
You have
1
a
point.
half. You have a half.
That's
I
not
think
what I said.
Brandon-
I said I'll take 1 point. Don't give me 5 points for this. That makes no sense. It's a 1 guarantee.
Right.
It's for 1
Oh yeah,
point.
we were never going to give you 5 points, no matter what. We might take away 5
I was thinking
points,
about
but you
it.
never know. I say Brandon Cooks. I mean, he's been a target monster. They're playing Arizona. They're going to be passing all game. I think he's done it twice. I think he's going to get 100 plus receiving yards. He usually gets 9 catches a game, but even then, usually he's short by about 10, 20 yards at times. I think he gets more done down the field more after the catch, 100 plus receiving yards.
I'm going to pivot off of mine because mine was going to be about DeAndre Hopkins, but since I'm 0-6, Zach, I don't want to give you any bad juju or anything.
0-7.
0-7. So I'm going to take J.D. McKissick, 50 rushing yards, 50 receiving yards, 50 plus each.
That is a massive gamble. That's a very.
Not really.
I mean, it's good, but
I got to get back in this somehow.
He's gonna finish with like 49 receiving yards.
That's what's happening to be in NFL predictions this year.
Nah, he'll be fine. Well, maybe not. I thought he was more steady than he has been, actually.
You know, he had
Whatever.
that one like 70-yard reception.
Hey, all he needs is 2 touches for this to happen.
True. Okay. Anything else you want to go off on?
Tune into Lombardi Sweep next.
Yes. We're getting done earlier than I thought. So, yeah, Lombardi Sweep will be at 8 Central, 20 minutes, talking about the Packers game against the Bears this week against Washington. Won't be a lot to talk about, I'm sure. That'll be a quick show. Tune in if you hear us. So, yeah, we'll be back in a sec.
Peace.
Jeez.